A descendant, someone who is related to a person or group of people from the past. These are the descendants of Disney's most evil villains, and this generation is rotten to the core.
Oh, Disney Channel. The only thing that raised you more than your parents ever did. Growing up as a kid, and this goes for about for everybody here, basically, there were 3 channels that you grow up as a kid with. Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Disney Channel. All of these basically fallen off the face of the planet now, but back in the day, those were the 3 biggest things of all time that had the greatest cartoons ever made. And when it comes to Disney Channel, they had the one edge that actually beat them all out. Not only just being a billion-dollar corporation, but being the fact that they actually had original movies. And we all know that Nickelodeon did, but like honestly, like outside of a few that you're like nostalgic for, do you even like remember or care? Now, when it comes to my watching of like Disney Channel movies, I can actually remember like a good amount of them. A big one being Zapped, because it had like Zendaya, like before she like really like popped off. There's a few others, but like that was like a big one, I guess. And outside of that was one of the last like big Disney Channel films, in my opinion, that there was. Not really just for like nostalgia, but like kind of like going forward, I guess, by looking at their catalog. This was like the last like we care type deal, because after this, you know, streaming kind of took over and they just kind of gave up on Disney Channel. And that movie that I'm referring to today is Descendants. The reason why I'm making this video is because they're having a Descendants 4 coming out on Disney Plus, and I guess it's like another Disney Channel original. And I'm like, why after all this time? I mean, like, I guess, you know, Disney got me because I'm like nostalgic for the series, I guess. But I don't know, I just feel like it just doesn't make sense, honestly. So originally I was just gonna like just watch like the first film and then like just call it a day, and then watch the new one and just go like whatever. I didn't even feel like reviewing them at all. But after I watched the first one and then just continued on and on with the other sequels, I just thought to myself, I just wouldn't feel right if I just didn't give it like a retrospective at all. Because like I said before, this was like the best like hurrah for me for Disney Channel. Like, of course, you know, I grew up with Disney XD also, because like after Phineas and Ferb popped off, Disney was like, oh, wait a second, guys, watch Disney too. And they made Disney XD, which was supposed to be like the radical XD channel for like boys, like with like lab rats and all that stuff, which I did like. But eventually I kind of noticed that Disney did not care about that channel at all. Like, that's basically like a dead network. But today, the Descendants films, starting off with the first Descendants. So basically, we start off with a narration of, you know, Mal, you know, our lead character, talking about the history and backstory of like where the story takes place. And it's just like Shrek or like Chicken Little, to where like they're mocking the whole like, oh guys, look, we're doing a fairy tale book thing. And it's like, oh wait guys, it's modern tech because it's like an iPad. And I'm like, alright movie, you think you're real clever. And basically it's like revealed that Belle and the Beast, you know, they got married and they just like rolled over like all of the land. And I mean, like, it's not really like specific like the land really is. I mean, like, we get like Oredon is like the place where like all like the good Disney people live, but like there's no like real scope of like where all of this like takes place. And I know you're not supposed to care, but as someone that really cares about lore and like world building, it just doesn't make sense at all. And like I said, I know this is stupid because this is a Disney Channel original movie, but I'm sorry, but I need more context here. But basically, you know, the Belle and the Beast and all the other Disney guys, they basically just booted all the villains and bad guys off to an island, just separated from all the other people. Now, I could say something like about commentary about like the world or whatever, but I'm not gonna do that. that would not go well. So then basically we have our main leads, you know, who are on the island, popping, walking, and doing just kid stuff on the island. We have Mal, who is the daughter of Maleficent. She's like the main character. She's like the only character that actually gets to do stuff. Then we have Evie, who is the daughter of the evil queen. Then we have Carlos, who is the son of Cruella. And then we have Jay, who is the son of Jafar. And I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, because this kind of pissed me off even back then as a kid and still now. is the fact that Carlos and Jay have like no character development whatsoever. I'm gonna be saying this a lot in this video, but trust me, they have nothing to do. Like, Mal is like the head showcase for this, franchise. I mean, like, I get it, she's the star, so she has the most like time or whatever, and like Evie's like, like her girl just to like talk to. But like Jay and Carlos, they're just kind of there just to make up the cast, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. Oh yeah, and then also before I forget, basically in the beginning, Ben talks about how he wants to let all like the villains' kids go to the island so that they could go to school. I just totally forgot about that part, because and I guess to that point, on like a world building and like story perspective, I guess, is that they consider Maleficent to be like the most powerful of all of like the 4 villains in this movie, and I guess like in general in the whole island, because as we see in the movies going on, there are like more villains and all that stuff. But apparently, I guess like all the other like heroes consider like Maleficent to be like the worst villain. And I recently watched Sleeping Beauty just so I have like an understanding of like Maleficent's powers, and I also watched recently Aladdin, not for this video, but just like casually. And I will say this straight up, I am not like dick writing here to say like Jafar is like my favorite villain of all time, even though I do think he is like a great villain. But I am sorry to say, but Maleficent is not that powerful. She is like alright at best. She has some cool transformations. She's okay. She does whatever. It is what it is. But I am sorry to say this, but like Jafar is way more powerful than he ever is. I know this is like a playground fight where you go like, no, this character's better than this character. But like objectively, if you actually watch the film and see their power set and like what they can do, Jafar does way much more to prove his worth. And I'm sorry, but I just can't go on without admitting this. And the reason why, and I know why, Disney, you're not slick, is because the year prior in 2014, they had Maleficent. So basically Disney wanted to go like, hey boys and girls, you like that Maleficent movie? Well, guess what? She's the most powerful of them all. Give us your money. Like, come on, Disney. I see your lies.
Don't lecture me, Obi-Wan. I see through the lies of the Jedi.
But, going back to the whole main characters and all the kids and all that, is they're not really like evil. I mean, like the only time we see them on the island doing stuff is just, like I said, popping and locking, doing, like the Disney Channel dance or whatever. And this is also with the world building, is that we don't really get to see like the island, the Isle of like the Lost or whatever it's called, because like, yeah, they're all bad guys and all that, but like none of them are really doing anything like bad, at least in this one. I mean, like going forward, I kind of forget, but like they don't really do anything like evil, I guess. So like we have Mal and the rest of the group who are supposed to be like hyped up as like evil and just like their like mothers and fathers, but like in the movie they're just like slightly edgy. It's kind of like the Shadow the Hedgehog game, to where they want to seem super edgy and like super evil, but like to be real, no, you're not. But like, okay, like you're trying your best there, sport. But to actually get into like the whole story and all that stuff, I do like the song, in the beginning, Run to the Core. I think it's a really good song to show like how like they're quote unquote evil, I guess. And going throughout the whole movie, especially for the Isle of the Lost or whatever, I could really admit this, I could tell they put a lot of money into this, because the set design, the costumes, everything looks really great. Because you could watch like a bunch of Disney Channel movies and even admit like, like nostalgia goggles off, like this you could tell like they have a budget, but here you could tell they put in all the stops for this one. Like they actually cared, and I gotta give props for that. Alright, so later on, Maleficent, Mal's mom, she comes over and goes like, hey guys, guess what? You're all going to the preppy white school. And they're like, oh man, no, we don't want to do this. This sucks because we're evil. We're rotted to the core. Okay, so basically they're talking, and secretly, like, Maleficent's plan is for them to steal, like, the magic wand from Fairy Godmother and to, like, open the barrier, because, like, no one could, like, use magic there outside of, like, like, because there's, like, a shield or whatever. And, like, while she's talking about this, I just see Jafar, and I'm like, what do they do to my man Jafar, man? And then also Mal and Maleficent, they have, like, a staring contest. And this is actually going to be important later in the story, man. I really wish it wouldn't, because this pissed me off as a kid, and it still does now. But you'll see at the end, I guess. Alright, so I also wanted to mention this because, like, I'm not gonna really have a chance to later, and I'm probably just gonna forget. And this is really just about, like, how, like, the canon is in this universe, because, like, this is obviously based off of, like, all the Disney movies and all that stuff. But, like, if you actually, like, think about it, you know, like, canon-wise, like, this obviously can take place, like, after each of their respective movies. Because, one, during the time each of them take place, wouldn't work. And secondly, especially for the villains, most of them are dead. And when I mean dead, I mean, like, they're dead. Like, I think besides, like, Cruella, like, most of them died. Like, Maleficent, she died. I know that for a fact. I don't know about Evil Queen, but I'm pretty sure the dwarves killed her. And then for, like, Jafar, he was put into, you know, the lamp. And I'm not going to get into the whole straight-to-DVD bullshit. I'm not doing that. But, yeah, like, what is the canon here for any of this? I really don't know.
It's salty like nuts, but it's...
You know, I'll just say this now because this is, like, the point of the story to where, like, you know, like, the characters are actually, like, doing stuff, really. Is that I really appreciate Mal's arc and throughout this story of the movie. Because, like, it's cool seeing the fact that, you know, like, she can't really, like, decide, like, what she wants to do between being, you know, like, good or evil. And yeah, it's, like, a simple arc, you know, this is a Disney Channel movie. But I think, like, in a sense of, like, doing it out of, like, for family, out of fear, and, like, you know, like, wanting to, like, you know, be a good person and stuff like that, I think it's genuinely pretty good. Everyone else doesn't really have an arc at all. Like, there's nothing to talk about. You know, like, Jay is, like, you know, playing, like, Disney sports or whatever, and, like, Carlos is, like, with a dog. And like I said before, Evie, man, I forgot what she's doing in this movie. I mean, I think she's doing dresses, or maybe that's, like, for 2. I honestly forget. And then, like, she falls in love for, like, Doug, who is the son of, like, the dwarves. And I actually kind of like that couple, because I'm not gonna lie, and this goes for, like, most movies, is that I rarely give a shit about, like, the whole, like, main love interest stuff going on. Like, the whole Mal and Ben stuff, I don't really care. But, like, when it comes to, like, you know, like, Evie or Doug, I'm kind of here for it, because I kind of like those, like, quirky, different type of, like, relationships to where it's, like, it's so different, you wouldn't expect that to happen. But with the whole, like, Mal and Ben stuff, I'm just like, wow, this is really riveting, folks. Whoa. But, you know, to continue on, basically, and I will say this is a good thing I like about the story, is that for stuff like this, to where they need to, like, steal something and to, like, you know, like, incorporate themselves into, like, the world and change as good people, is the fact that they kind of, like, just, most characters, like, dick around and stuff like that. But I like the fact that the first night that they're in, you know, like, Oridon or whatever, they go straight for the wand. And this is where I just need to say, because this is where it takes place. I have to say this, Evil Like Me has to be one of the greatest Disney Channel, no, not even Disney Channel, one of the greatest Disney villain songs of all time. You think I'm being ironic, you think I'm joking, no lie, no shot. It is genuinely good. I don't know why, but it hits so hard. And it's just you're probably not even believing me right now, but genuinely, like, go look up the song for yourself. It is a fucking banger. It is good. Like, it's not, like, amazing, don't get me wrong, but, like, being the fact that I'm watching a Disney Channel movie, like, and this came out of nowhere, and I'm like, hold up, are they cooking real quick? What am I watching? But yeah, after, you know, they unsuccessfully steal the wand, they just, like, go to high school or whatever, and, like, they just, like, bond and become, like, teenagers and, like, have fun in life. We have a stuffed... This is the funniest plot line. Like I said about the whole Evie and Doug stuff, we have a literal, like, Chad in this movie to where he's, like, cucking Evie or whatever in, like, the first movie. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what am I... What the fuck? I can't take this serious. Like, it being like you, like, I like this movie. Like, don't get me wrong, I might be talking trash on this movie, but I genuinely do like this. Like, this is the best of the series. But I just love this movie. But about it, basically Evie's in class, and I just need to mention this scene because I'm such, like, a nitpick here, is the fact that she has, like, her, like, miniature, like, you know, like, mirror, and like it is so obviously cheating. Like, yeah, sure, it's a movie, so I could like sometimes believe in like absurd things, but like, brother, it's right there. Like, are we gonna be real? Oh yeah, also in this movie, there's Mulan's daughter, and I wasn't gonna mention her, but she's actually somewhat like important for the second movie, so I guess just for the sake of like making sure you remember her, she's here, I guess.
When I say McDonald's Chicken McNuggets. I know, I hit the gong.
And then later on, whenever they're making cookies so that Mal can fall in love with Ben, there is a genuinely good scene. Like, I'm not even like BSing here. It's like, you know, talking about like how like all the good heroes, like their parents love them, and then all like the evil kids look at each other going like, wow, damn, maybe I wish we had better lives. And I'm like it's not perfect, don't get me wrong, but I'm just thinking about it like, huh, that's actually a decent scene. That's pretty alright. And here's this scene with Audrey, who I think I forgot to mention was Ben's girlfriend. She talks about magic being like a quote-unquote like gateway drug. That I'm like, dude, what is this movie?
What's the harm?
It's gateway magic.
You know, so basically, you know, like Mal, you know, tricks Ben into being in love with her from the potion spell or whatever. And I'm not gonna lie, you know, like the whole "I'm in love with you" song, it's actually not even that bad. Like, I hated it when it started playing, but like over time, I actually thought it was somewhat decent. I'm not gonna lie. And then we get to the final part of the movie where we have like the coronation, I think. I don't know, I kind of forget, man, but I really do remember this part where they have a rendition of Be Our Guest, and I really like Beauty and the Beast, so to basically murder this song, it is absolute criminal, and I wish I could take Disney to court for this. And then, you know, in typical fashion, whenever Mao just feels bad for the whole like being evil, lying, and all that stuff, she goes like, no, Ben, dude, the cookies or whatever. And Ben goes like, oh yeah, dude, I know that, you know, I just love you for who you are, and all that stuff and all that junk. And then at the coronation, I totally forgot to mention her as a character in general, because she actually is important. I don't know how I forgot to talk about this, is Jane, who is the fairy godmother's daughter. And in the movie, Mal makes her feel like insecure. So whenever we all think that Mal's gonna take the wand and like betray everyone, Jane takes it so that she become like pretty or whatever. And I think that's okay. I mean, it's whatever. It's eh. And then like, you know, like the evil kids, they go like, guys, we should be good. We shouldn't do this stuff for our mom or whatever. All the bad guys. And then like it's too late because like Maleficent gets there. And this is where the movie gets me, because like I know we're on a budget here, I do know that, and because this like pissed me off as a kid, because like Maleficent turns into a giant dragon as always, and it's pretty cool initially, like they're dodging her, ducking, weaving, whatever, and then like last minute, like Mal and her mom go like, let's have a staring contest, like what we referenced earlier. And even as a kid, and like as a kid, I was just like mad because I wanted some like big like Marvel movie or whatever. But like here, like now as like, you know, like older, I'm just like, dude, she turned into a giant dragon, and that's like the last thing she has, you know, like just a staring contest. I mean, like, it's whatever now, but I'm still like, I feel like we could have done better. I don't know, it's whatever though. I mean, like, I don't know, it's whatever. And then we end off the movie with, you know, like the generic, hey, we did it, so let's have a giant party dance song. Yay, whoopee, we saved the day. And then we end off with Mal and Ben happy. Everyone's, you know, like kumbaya, and that's like the end of the first movie. In general, like, this is like the actual like good one, because I feel like the concept alone is very cool. Like, the characters are charming enough, the set design's cool, and, you know, the costumes are nice. The music's actually pretty good here, because I'll say this, there's like no like good Disney Channel movie except for like a few. There generally are like a few that are good, but like in general, this is like a pretty decent movie, you know. And in general, I give this like a 7 out of 10. I think, like, nostalgia's sake, this was like a pretty great movie to rewatch. And I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty hyped to watch the other two movies. How wrong I was. Alright, here we go. Descendants 2, The Empire Strikes Back. Alright, basically we start off the movie with Mal daydreaming being evil, and this is like the first opening song, and I'm just gonna come with it with the songs. They're all bad. I mean, like, they're not like god awful, but I mean, like, they're not good whatsoever. Like, I don't like them. It's not even like a whole like nostalgia thing, because like they're just bad. I don't know how to describe it, but there's just like there's an energy it just gives to her. I just don't like them as much. But you know what? That's whatever. Basically, you know, she quits the whole daydreaming and all that stuff, and then we just see Mal in general, and she, you know, she's just like, she's under the pressure, man. She can't take it. You know, he's like her being like a good guy. You know, her like dating Ben, the whole publicity and all the press. She's like, I can't take it, man. This sucks. Oh yeah, I forgot Jay. He's in the movies. Is he still a character? Is he doing stuff? I don't know, man. Oh yeah, Carlos. I forgot he was here too. Looks like he's into Jane. I don't know why. I don't know if you care. I don't think you should care.
This one. What about peacock feathers? Yeah, I bet you nobody's gonna have those at the
Chad.
You know what? I will say this. I am so glad that Chad is here. Like, Chad is he's the one character that's consistent throughout all three of these movies. He's like Kylo Ren in the sequels, to where he's carrying this trilogy. Out of the sky! Alright, so remember how I mentioned Mulan's daughter in the first movie? Well, this is where she actually is important, because basically in this movie, you know, Jay and Carlos, they have like some fencing, you know, sport going on, and in the movie, you know, like Mulan's daughter, she's ostracized because she's a girl, and the guy is mainly Chad, because Chad's like an OP in this. He goes like, girls can't play, it's in the rules, it's in the rule book, man, we gotta follow them, girls can't play sports. And I'm like, okay, I get it, it's like 2017, so they're doing the whole like girls get it done era. But, like, if you actually do think about it, like with Oridon, most of the heroes in Disney's catalog are women, and assuming, you know, like with Mulan and stuff like that, so, like, in a world building and storytelling perspective, this wouldn't be the case, because I'm pretty sure they would be very, like, inclusive for men and women and, like, everybody else. So, like, I don't know why this is, like, a thing. I know it's just meant, like, for plot reasons, because it's, like, I don't know. I don't even know why they did this. It doesn't matter. Oh yeah, I just wanted to just to mention, this movie has a talking dog. It doesn't matter at all. I mean, it kind of does matter later on, but I'm just why?
Man, that thing was nasty.
Alright, so, you know, after the whole, like, Oridon stuff going on, we then cut to the Owl of the Lost, which were then met with Uma, and she's, like, the main villain for this movie, and this, we're going to get into it. This is kind of my main problem with 2, and why I feel like I just don't like it as much, because I feel like the concept alone of, like, Descendants is cool, but it's only really done when you have the parents really, you know, like, influencing, like, the action going on. And in this movie, the main villain is Uma, the daughter of Ursula, and it's just like whatever. It's like a whole like nothing burger. Like, I think she's a cool character, as we're gonna go on in the story, but like just her on her own, I just feel like just doesn't work. Whatever. Basically, and this is part of the cool set design for this, we have Ursula's fish and chips, and I'm not gonna lie, that is some pretty cool detail. And, you know, going into Uma as a character, she's just like, you know, living on the Isle of the Lost, you know, like everyone else is. And she's just kind of like upset because like Mao and all the other guys were picked to go, and she's just kind of stuck here and stuff like that. And honestly, I think that's kind of like interesting to, you know, like to go over of how people would feel if they weren't given the chance to have like a better future. And it's not even like that bad. It's kind of done well here. But like I said, it's like, I care, but like, I just feel like it's not like as engaging as the first plot. But, you know, with that, Uma has like her henchmen or like, you know, teammates or whatever, and that is the son of Hook and the son of Gaston. And I feel like the son of Hook, you know, is represented well. He feels like his father, but the son of Gaston, I'm just like, what? Because like he doesn't have a costume similar to his father, because like he has to be part of the pirate crew. He doesn't really like act like him, at least from what I could tell. So I'm just kind of like, what's really going on here? It doesn't matter, man. This is a Disney Channel movie. Then we have Ursula, not appearing, mind you, but like a CGI tentacle. And I'm just like, continuity here, guy. She technically died in The Little Mermaid, but whatever. Who cares? I shouldn't care, but I do, so whatever. Then we cut to Oridon. We have Mal and Ben going on a date, and it's revealed that she's been using the dark magic to be perfect or whatever. And then Ben goes like, no, how can you be lying to me? Or whatever. And Mal goes like, I just want to be perfect for you. I'm not like you. I'm not like the other girls. I'm evil. But with the whole, like, you know, like them arguing thing, that's like whatever. I could give two shits about that. But what the funny part is how Ben says that PB&J is his favorite food of all time. And I'm sorry to say this, Ben. Your gated community head ass is not liking PB&J as your favorite meal. You probably love caviar or something else like that.
Peanut butter and jelly is my favorite.
Oh yeah, also this is also a really good time to mention this. Mal's drip game in this movie is not hidden. Like all of her costumes, especially the main one for like all the promotion and like going forward, it is so bad. It is such a downgrade. It's actually disgusting how bad it is. I'm not even playing with you like how bad it is. Like I bet you're looking at the screen now and thinking, what is she wearing? Oh yeah, so basically the main plot for this movie is that they gotta travel back to the Isle of the Lost to get Mal back, which, you know, basically invokes, you know, Uma being into the plot, but that's for later. And then, you know, like, you know, Evie goes to Ben and... Shit, that's the other way around. Basically, Ben goes to Evie and they have to, you know, make a rescue plan. We gotta get the boys together and we're gonna make a rescue plan together. Oh yeah, also I totally forgot to mention this because the movie never brings it up ever again, which is so weird. She basically brings her mom with her, who's like, you know, like the lizard from the first movie, and it goes nowhere. Like she brings her and like nothing comes of it. So I was like, I was hoping it was gonna be picked up later, but it just wasn't. So like, I don't know, it just didn't matter. Like nothing mattered for that. Anyways, getting back to the main thing. So Mal, you know, she's on the island and she meets her old friend Dizzy, who we've never met before. And she's the granddaughter of the Cinderella stepsisters, and she's like a stylist and all that. So like, you know, like that's cool. That's whatever. She's important to 3, so I just had to mention it there. And then with that, the guys, they travel to find Mal. And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like there actually is good world building here. Because like I said for the first movie, we never like understand how like the Isle of the Lost works. But like here we have like some semblance of it, you know, because like Ben has to like blend in or whatever. So like the song going with it gives like context to how to like act or how to be. And it's not like a lot, but I feel like it's enough to where I feel like this is better than what the first one did, I guess. So it's like there's something there. And then, you know, going forward, Ben runs into Mal and he's like, please come back with me. I know you're a good person. And she goes like, no, Ben, I want to stay here. I need to protect you. I need to protect Oridon. And it's just so sappy. It's just like, dude, can we just wrap this plot line up already? And then, you know, Ben leaves all like discouraged. He's like, no, this can't be. And then he gets kidnapped by Uma. And I'm like, dude, why did you just run off on your own to an unknown place, which you know is full of like the most iconic Disney villains of all time? Like, he must be stupid or even more stupid. You know, so like basically to get Ben back, you know, Mal goes to meet up with Uma and goes like, hey man, we're not cool with this, bro. You gotta lay off, man. And, you know, they have a wrestling contest or whatever. And then, you know, obviously, you know, like Uma wins and she goes like, bring me the wand so I could, you know, get off this rock. And the moment I saw this, heard it, and all that stuff, I was just like, this is literally the plot for the first movie. And that's my problem with this movie. It's where they're literally just treading the same ground to where it's just the same movie as the first one, but like less engaging. You know, we need to get the wand again. We're back in the Isle of the Lost. Like, there's nothing really different about it. You know what I mean? You know, okay, so basically a couple of the guys, they go back to Oridon to, you know, get the wand, but they're gonna trick them with a fake wand. And I didn't even mention this because it didn't even matter in the beginning, like for like story reasons until now. They just like apparently now have a copy machine in their dorm room, which only applies to the fact that they need to have a copy of the wand. And I forget how it's like randomly explained, but it's just like, you know, it's here solely for this purpose. So it's just like, I don't know, ever heard of subtlety? Alright, so with the wand and all that, they try to sneak back out and get to the Isle of the Lost. And with that, you know, Mulan's daughter runs into them and says, if you don't bring me along, I'm gonna snitch. And they're like, hey man, we're not down with that, just come along. And this is just so weird because, like, she's like important but like not important, because later on they have like a giant sword fight, and I guess like for that reasoning it makes sense because, like, you know, like Mulan's a good sword fighter, so her daughter is and all that. But like in general, like they didn't even need to bring her. Like I don't even know why she's important to this movie. And then, you know, like we get to like Ben being kidnapped and all that stuff. We have like a genuinely like good conversation between Uma and Ben. Like it's not even like corny in the sense of where it's like, oh man, this movie, am I right? Like no, I actually think it is. It's like pretty decent because like we have like Ben like thinking to himself about like how he feels like wrong, the fact that, you know, like he wasn't able to bring like everybody along and how other people would feel about it, and how like he sees that she's like a genuinely like good person. It's just like the way that she like grew up and all that stuff. And it's like, it boggled my mind because this movie in general is bad. It's not good. Like if this conversation was in like the first movie, I would just think along the lines of like, that's good because this movie's good. But like here, it's just so out of nowhere. I just had tonal whiplash. Like that's how weird it is. But whatever. So with that, you know, Mal brings the wand, the quote unquote fake wand, and then this is just like Sonic Adventure 2 with the Chaos Emerald that's fake. Because Uma goes like, how do I know this isn't the real wand? Like, how do I know if it's not fake or not? And this is so bad, man. Because the talking dog tagged along, and, you know, obviously Uma and the pirates, they don't know that the dog talks. So Mal, you know, does like some fake magic spell or whatever, and the dog then talks. And then Uma goes like, oh, you know what? Now I believe you. Now I do. So whenever they get Ben, you know, Uma tries to test it out, and it's like, oh, well, didn't work, and they have like a giant sword fight. I mean, like, that's okay. The music for it's alright. It's generally like okay battle. It's nothing special.
Amazeballs!
You do not understand the amount of pain that I went through watching this movie. You really don't. Alright, so then they all escape, and then Mal drops her, you know, spell book. And it's just so weird because she doesn't, like, realize it. And I'm like, you have a giant-ass book. Like, either way, you have to know that you left it somehow. And being the fact that you've been, like, using it, you know, like, in between movies and, like, and recently, you know, like, to keep yourself perfect, I don't know why you wouldn't, like, constantly be checking that you have the book on you. Like, you know what? It's for the plot. It's a stupid plot, but whatever.
We need to talk.
Yeah.
No.
No?
You guys are always going off in a huddle, whispering your girl talk stuff, or we're your family too. We've been through a lot together.
I'm not gonna lie, this genuinely did surprise me, because all throughout all three of these movies, it's really just Evie and Mal discussing the plot, or just like talking about like what's going on. Like Carlos and Jay, they are not characters, they don't do anything, but I like how Carlos is the one to, you know, pipe up and go like, hey guys, why don't we ever like discuss things as a group? I mean, like, we're all in this together, like, what's going on? Alright, so with all that, we get to the final battle, which is like, dude, I forget what the party is. I don't know. It's on a boat because obviously, because you know Uma's gonna reappear for the finale, and with that, you know, this is basically just like the plot of The Little Mermaid in the first movie, because Uma, you know, uses the spell book to like convince Ben that she loves her, and then it's just like The Little Mermaid to where like I said, you know, Ursula convinces Eric to marry her. And it's just like, this movie is just taking so much from other movies. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a nice homage or they just don't realize it, you know? But, you know, whatever. Mal goes like, Ben, you love me for real. You really, like, love me, you know? Because it's not fake or whatever. And then after breaking the whole spell, Uma just goes like, fuck this, I'm just gonna turn into a giant squid. And then, you know, Mal, she turns into a giant dragon, which is admittedly like kind of cool, and they actually have like a semi-decent fight. Like, it kind of fixes my problem with the first movie to where there's like little to no action, and this one actually kind of delivers. I mean, like, for a Disney Channel movie, I think it's all right for how it does it. And then, you know, Ben goes like, dude, what is even going on at this point? He just jumps in the water and goes like, guys, we don't have to do this. We don't have to fight each other. And I'm like, you didn't have to jump in. You could have just stayed on the boat and just like said what you said. You didn't have to be so dramatic about things. And then, you know, Uma goes like, you know what? Whatever, man, I'm out of here. She just dips. And then, you know, we end off the movie with a whole happy, you know, like, we did a Disney Channel dance. And that's the movie. Wholesome, cheesy ending. And then, I totally forgot this. Dizzy gets an invitation to go to Oridon because Evie was like, dude, that's my friend before I got here. And now you guys just kind of forgot about her. So she gets an invitation to go to Oridon. And then we have an MCU style post credit scene where Uma goes like, you didn't think this was gonna be the end, did you? Oh my god. So yeah, that was Descendants 2. It was a serious downgrade. I didn't think it was gonna be that bad of a downgrade, but it really is. And I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like the plot wasn't there. I feel like the characters weren't there. I don't know why I'm overanalyzing this. I mean, like, it's Descendants 2. What was I expecting? I don't know, man. Hopefully 3 is good. I think, like, overall wise, I would really give this like a 4. Like, that's how bad it is. Like, I really wanted to like this, but they were not cooking here, Mr. White. They were not cooking. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully 3 is good. Alright, so before we get into Descendants 3, I have to talk about this, and that was the loss of Cameron Boyce. Because growing up as a kid, I was a big Jesse fan. I loved it. And Luke was by far one of my favorite characters in the show. And along with that, with his other roles throughout, you know, Disney Channel and throughout, I just really saw him as a great, you know, character and all the stuff he played and all that. So whenever I just heard about his death, it was just so, like, heartbreaking to me. It's just because, like, just someone, like, that young and just taken that soon was just... The fact that this was, like, his last movie, it was just kind of hard to, you know, to sit with. But yeah, I just had to mention that because it was just so crazy back then, and still to this day, honestly, just thinking about it and just the overall what happened with, you know, his untimely death. But with that, here is Descendants 3. Basically, we start off with, you know, them bringing all the kids to Oridon. Basically, right off the bat, what they promised into, here are all the kids. And I have a problem with the kids because it's not really that interesting, man. It's not that cool. So basically, we have Dizzy, obviously, from 2. So, like, you know, we're kind of familiar with her. But then we have, I forget her name, but she's the daughter of Dr. Facilier from Princess and the Frog. And I think it's kind of cool the fact that we have, like, a 2000s Disney villain. Because all the villains, you know, like the you know, kids of the villains, all of them come from villains from, like, the 90s and further back, and, like, you know, like the iconic era of Disney. And it just made me think that, like, in this era of Disney, like, especially like from 2000s to now modern day, there have been like no good villains. Sorry. There have been no good villains that could be in the Descendants movies. Because if you think about it, like, even if there is like a good villain, there will be none that be able to do in Descendants. Like, how the fuck are you gonna make King Candy like have a descendant? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know why. I think it's kind of odd because I think Disney kind of realized that, like, Dr. Facilier is like the only villain in like in the 2000s that like resembles like a classic Disney villain and was a movie that was at least like received and was profitable. Because and this is my home on the range part of me talking, because wouldn't it just be so funny if we had like Alameda Slim's son, and he's like a country kid, you know, going to Oridon, and he's just like trying to yodel to cows or something. I don't but sadly Home on the Range flopped, so they don't get any representation here. And then we get, you know, twins of Smee, you know, the henchman of like Captain Hook, and they don't talk, and I mean, like, they're just like kids, so like okay, cool. So, like, I don't know, I kind of feel like we kind of swung for the fences and kind of missed here. because we have Dizzy, who we already know. We have Dr. Facilier's daughter, who I'm like, that's kind of cool. I like that. And then we have 2 stupid kids that don't talk. So I'm just like, brother, I feel like we could have done more here. But, you know, then when all that's settled, you know, Ben then proposes to Mal. And she's like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm getting married. I can't believe it. But here, this is where the good stuff begins. This is where the fun begins. We have our main villain, which is Audrey. Remember her from the first movie? Well, guess what? She's back, bitches, and ready for revenge. She's like, nah, man. Mal stole my spotlight. I need that back. And then, you know, basically whenever the kids are trying to leave or whatever with the new kids, Hades attacks. And my thing is this, is just like Hades was like never mentioned, never introduced, but he's like the main focal point for this movie. So I just have a loss for words. I really do.
Things in the underworld.
Well, they're just fine. You know, a little dark, a little gloomy, and as always, hey, full of dead people. What are you gonna do?
And then, you know, basically what happens is that they have like a cool little fight. It's nothing special, but it's like whatever. And then, you know, this causes Mal and Ben and the rest of the, you know, higher ups to go like, you know what, we need to close the barrier forever. And this is like the main like conflict that Mal's gonna have, because she's like, I made all these promises to my friends and I want all the, you know, kids to have a good life. But then I just want to be in a gated community with Ben. So that's like kind of like she gets hung up on that and all that stuff. And then, you know, we have Audrey, you know, like being evil, and she says this line.
It's not a toy. It's dangerous. I want to be dangerous.
Like, dude, it's so hard to hate these movies because it's just, they have stuff like this that make you just love them. Like, you can't hate stuff like this, man. So, with, you know, Audrey out for revenge, she turns Mal into an old woman. You know, she's an old hag, an old battle axe or whatever. And they say, you know, they have to go back to the Isle of the Lost to reverse it because they need Hades, Amber, and I'm like, dude, this plot is like, it's super convenient that the character that we just introduced has the only thing that is strong enough to break the power spell or whatever. But you know what? The plot got a plot, man.
Carlos, you're gonna miss Jane's birthday!
Oh my god, why? Why did they keep in the talking dog? It wasn't funny in the second movie, it's not funny now. But you know what, after like watching the movie, like the dog's like barely in it, so I think, you know, Disney realized like, oh wait, people don't like annoying sidekicks. Also, I put this in my notes, I don't really think it was necessary, but it's Jane's birthday, and I guess that's kind of cool. I know why. Basically, Audrey comes in, you know, she breaks up the party, and then, you know, she tells everyone, I'm coming for revenge, you're all gonna pay and suffer, I guess, Green Goblin style. And then Chad goes like, please let me team up with you. And I'm like, dude, this is why Chad is the best. Like, he has no importance to the story, but yet I love to see it. Back to the whole island stuff, you know, we go to, we actually meet Dr. Facilier, and he has like a voodoo arcade, and I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty cool seeing him. Like, this is what I've been missing from the last movie, is actually getting to see like the parents of the villains and just seeing more of the island. Like, I know I might be a little bit hyperbolic here, but I think this movie actually might be pretty decent. Like, it's not good, but this is actually pretty okay. Okay, so like with that, we have a whole bunch of plot stuff and whatever, and Mal meets up with Hades, and Mal gets the revelation, it's been revealed that Hades is Mal's dad. And I just have so many questions. That is just like, wow. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like the fact that he's like a deadbeat, you know, like punk rock dad. Like, it's not even accurate to Hades as a character as he's portrayed in Hercules, but at this point I'm kind of down for like any interpretation. Like, if it's fun, I'll do it, honestly, and this is kind of cool here. So basically, whenever they're leaving, Uma appears out of nowhere. Like, I think, like, was she just like waiting there the whole time? And then she gets the stone, and they just have to like work together now, I guess, because basically they're just like on Oridon, and like the bad guys and the good guys, they're just having to like unwillingly like work together. And I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of cool just seeing them work together, because they're just like so contrasting and so like, I hate you so much, but we have to do it. it's like kind of cool. Like, this movie is actually trying, and I'm not gonna lie, it is just so weird after the second movie. Like, this is like actually pretty fun. And then we have like a cool like sword fight where they have to like really, you know, like come together, and it's just like it's fun. Like, it's fun. Like, it's not good. Like, don't get me wrong, I might be hyping this movie up, but don't get me wrong, this is like kind of mid. But like, as the fact that this is like the technical, like, you know, like finale to the trilogy makes this so good, because like we have like the follow-up with Uma, and then we have the follow-up with Audrey, and it's just like it just all comes together. It's like poetry, it rhymes. George Lucas, motherfucker. And then after the whole sword fight, we actually get more like bonding time between, you know, like the good guys and the bad guys. And it's actually kind of sweet to see like the contrasting parts of like how we even see like how like our heroes have like grown throughout all these movies, and how they're introducing all the villains, to how like stuff is on Ordon and how they changed as people. Like, it's so weird, because it's like they actually like cared about what was going on, and I'm like, this might actually be a good movie. For Disney Channel. I didn't mean like an actual like movie. Sorry. I don't want to go too far now. And then, you know, with everyone's asleep and like they run into Doug, who I don't think he was even relevant to 2, and he's barely even relevant here. But, you know, like Evie, you know, like being the fact that they have like the whole love plot going on, they do like true love's kiss, and he wakes up. And the only reason why I mention this is because I actually like the relationship. Like I said, I barely give a shit about the whole like main Ben, Mal, and in general like main love interests in movies. I'm here for the secondary stuff, quirky stuff like this. And even here, man, it's good. Like, I think 3 is actually turning out to be unironically good. And then, you know, we also have Ben turning into the Beast, you know, since he's like the son of the Beast, you know, from Beauty and the Beast, which is actually, now that I come to it, pretty irrelevant up until now, honestly. Like, the whole thing with Gaston is barely mentioned. I think there's like a fun joke in 2, but in general, it just didn't really matter as much, which is kind of weird, honestly. But I guess I should be doing some negatives, because there generally are some negatives. And I think my big, you know, negative for this movie is the fact that they're just kind of dicking around so much. Like, the reason why this movie is kind of like, my review of it is more shorter than the rest is because there's barely any plot. Like, the movie's long as like all the others, but like there's barely anything for them to do. Like, there's a lot of bonding. I like that. But like, they're looking for Audrey, and I'm like, they're kind of just like, I feel like they could find her easily if they just weren't dicking around so much. Like, they're eating cake, they're talking. And I mean, like, that's cool and all. It's like good to see you guys connect, but I mean, like, I think the world's gonna end or something. I think we should, you know, maybe care about that. Oh, and this is also pretty stupid, because obviously we need to have like the third act, like, oh no, we're not friends anymore type thing with, you know, like Uma and Mal. And this is so stupid, because Mal admits to, you know, like not letting kids come through the barrier anymore. And I mean, like, I know it's not good to lie or anything like that, but like, this is like a do or die situation to where we need to stop Audrey. Like, I feel like you could, you know, like maybe not tell them, or just like go like, hey man, we might do it, I don't know, man, you know, maybe. And it's just like, why would you do this? Because the villains run off, and then her friends turn to stone, and it's just like, you did this to yourself. You guys were dicking around too much, and you had to tell them that you were going against what the bad guys were rooting for. So I'm like, you get what you deserve, Murray. But then the movie kind of pulls it back. It kind of brings the movie back for me. And then we get like all the flashbacks of like the previous movies. And it kind of hit me to where I'm like, dude, I actually kind of care about the characters in this movie. Like, in the whole franchise in general. Like, yeah, sure, this is Disney Channel, and the second one was bad. But like, after having the whole montage of all 3 movies come together, I just kind of think to myself, fuck, I actually like this. And I have no shame in admitting it. Like, this is a fun trilogy, man. It has fun characters. I like the set design. The music's fun. Like, this is a fun franchise, man. I can't lie about that. And then also we have a cool final battle between Audrey and Mal. And this is what I wanted out of the first movie, to where they actually have a cool, engaging final battle sequence. And Uma's there and she helps out. And honestly, it's just a good, fun ending, man. Like, this is a fun movie. And then it's even better because, like, with Audrey defeated, she's, like, dying. And then, like, they need Hades' help since he could, like, revive the dead. You know, because, like, in the movie, you know, he dealt with the dead, so he would obviously know how to do that. So it's kind of cool that he's also relevant for, the later half of the plot. It kind of comes together. And it's just so weird that it does. And it's just pretty cool because we have, like, you know, like, Mal thanking her dad for saving Audrey and all that stuff. And it's just, like, I don't know, man. It's just pretty wholesome in general, I'm not gonna lie. It's even better because we have, like, Mal and Ben apologizing, and then we have Audrey's grandmother apologizing because in the first movie she was being mean, so we're kind of, like, following up that plot. And in general, it really just comes together. And then with the ending, this kind of shocked me, is the fact that they allow everyone from the Isle of Lost to come over. The whole barrier's down for good forever, so everyone, bad guy included, can always come and always able to visit and come to the island. And it just kind of comes full circle because we started the movies with them being, you know, being stuck there, and the fact that they kind of concluded with them being able to have everyone they know be able to come to the island and be able to change. It is actually as an ending, it comes full circle. And then we have, you know, like, Hades coming over to finally be free and see his daughter. And it's just like, dude, I don't know how. Like, this isn't groundbreaking, but I don't know why, man. It just came together for some reason. So yeah, like, this movie isn't perfect, don't get me wrong, but just seeing, you know, everyone get a happy ending, it's just like, it's very nice to see, especially for, you know, like, watching all three of these movies back to back, getting ready for 4. And I think in conclusion, like, this movie overall is like a 6 out of 10. I don't think it's better than, you know, the first one, because the first one, with nostalgia-wise and in general, you can't top one. But I feel, in general, with this whole franchise, it was just very fun to look back on this and just think, you know, like, even as, like, a Disney Channel movie, like, this is just a genuinely, like, you know, like, fun watch just for, you know, like, for fun, stupid movies with iconic Disney characters and, like, their kids. And I'm excited for 4. I'm probably going to review it because, hell, I did this, right? So, yeah, if you really like this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Tell me what you think of the Descendants movies, because honestly, I think they're fun. Even 2, for some extent now that I feel. So, yeah, I'm Blacked Out Reviews. I reviewed it, so you don't have to.